Zook here with Zook Stitch, and today is Saturday, February 5th, 2022. Welcome to my channel about cross stitch. I'm so very glad that you are here spending part of your day or your evening with me. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for all your comments on last week's video. I did have some questions that came up from the past couple of videos, but I'll get to those in just a minute. Quick update on the week. It was another very busy week. I don't know why the semester feels so busy to me, but it does. It's all good. Nothing is bad. It's just very busy. I like my job, so I'm very fortunate in that way. But yeah, we finished week 3 of the semester already. I don't know how. I know everybody says, I don't know where the time goes, and I truly don't. Our first 3 weeks were remote, just to make sure that all our students and employees were able to get COVID tested before returning to campus. I got my COVID test on Wednesday. It was the PCR test. I got the results on Friday. I was negative, which I expected to be negative because I wasn't feeling bad or anything, but it was a requirement to come back to campus. So starting Monday, we will be back on campus and our classes will be in person. We are required to wear N95 masks whenever we're on campus. So I feel pretty safe going back to campus. I have been working from home for about 2 months, kind of since the last semester ended. We had winter break, and then, I'm in a position where I can work from home when the students aren't on campus. So I'm very lucky. So we'll be back in person, starting Monday. And then last Sunday, and I'll talk a little more about this when we get to Hall, but last Sunday I joined the virtual Acorns gathering through my local needlework shop, Acorns and Threads. It was so much fun, and I learned a lot. Acorns is my LNS, so I go there once or twice a month, and Janine did a tour of the store, and even though I feel pretty comfortable and pretty much know where everything is in the store, I still learned something. So it was really great. And actually, that leads me to a question. Pam asked me, well, how do you find out about these retreats? And honestly, the best way is to sign up for the newsletters. So I am on the Acorns and Threads newsletter. I'm on a couple other newsletters as well. So if you have a shop that maybe you're interested in joining, a retreat or something, or a class maybe that they'll have coming up, join their newsletter. Go on their website and ask to sign up for their newsletter, because that's where you'll hear about these things first. And they do fill up. So the Acorns gathering was full. I know they had a wait list. Not everybody got in off the wait list. And they have a bigger one that they do. So this one was just on Sunday, and they have a bigger one that happens over an entire weekend in early October. So if you are interested, and I don't know if that one will be virtual, the ones last year were virtual due to COVID. And I know a lot of people expressed their gratitude for it being virtual, because that meant that people could join from virtually anywhere in the world. On Sunday, we had somebody, I think, from Australia who was on the call. So it's, I don't know if they're going to plan to continue having them virtually or in person. Under normal circumstances, I think these events are in person. But sign up for the newsletter and you'll get all the details right away. So that is my best advice for how you learn about retreat is, 1, Flosstube, but also signing up for newsletters. And then you'll kind of be the first to know, and you have a better chance of getting in before they fill up. Jennifer asked me a really great question. She asked, now, how do you start your projects in the upper left-hand corner? She noticed that I start almost all of my projects in the upper left-hand corner, which is true. Some I do start in the middle if there's no good, clear place for me to start in the upper left-hand corner. But she was concerned about making sure we have enough fabric and all of that, which is a concern, understandably. So Jennifer, I thought this was a really great question. So I have a couple of answers for you. First, I have a little device. Hopefully you can't see that at all. This device. This is some people call it a corner gauge. Some people call it a stitch starter. It's this little just acrylic plastic. They come in wood. You can get them. Most LNSs have them. I got this one on Etsy. I'll link it down below, from Blue Ribbon Designs on Etsy. And what I really love about it is it comes with a case. It's just a little fabric case, and you can slip it in here. And, you know, I just put it in my stitchy tool bag and I carry it with me. And of course I had to get the fabric with the kitties on it. Now, before I started recording here, I checked they still have them. They don't necessarily have this pattern anymore, but they have a variety of patterns. They're about $14.50 for you get the case and you get she calls them stitch starters. You get the stitch starter. Now, what I like about this, and I'm sorry, here, let me see if I can get I should have brought a plain white piece of paper. This might work a little better. So you can see, so this whole square is 3 inches by 3 inches. So if you want a 3-inch border, so say this is my fabric, you just put it up there in the left-hand corner, and I put my needle right here where my pinky is right there. And I know that's 3 inches from the top and 3 inches in from the side. If I want, you can see the next line is 2 inches. So I would line up that corner 2 inches and then put my needle right there. That's a 2-inch border. Maybe you like living on the edge and you want 1 inch. You can put the needle right there. So that's how I use this. And there are in-between marks too, if you wanted, say, a 2.5 inch border. So that's another piece that I use. But in order to make sure that I have enough fabric, I also always use a cross-stitch calculator. The one I like is from Yarn Tree, and I actually took a video of me kind of walking you through how I use it, how to fill out the form, and come up with the proper size of your fabric. And so I'll insert that here in just a minute. I'm going to use, for an example, Autumn Quakers by Rosewood Manor. This is a piece that I started in the upper left-hand corner, and just to make sure that you have enough fabric. And this is also a good idea if you get a kit and you want to make sure that the kit they sent you, what size fabric is it? Do I give it a 3-inch border? You know, you want to double check anytime you get a kit. If they don't tell you what size the fabric is, just double check it with a cross-stitch calculator. I'm showing you the Yarn Tree one. I believe there are other ones online. This is just my favorite one. So I will go ahead and insert that video clip here for you. I'm going to show you how I use the cross-stitch calculator. This is by Yarn Tree. So I wanted to show you this. And as I mentioned, I'm going to show you using Autumn Quakers by Rosewood Manor. That is a piece that I started in the upper left-hand corner. That is normally where I start my pieces. So let's take a look here at how I would fill in the cross-stitch calculator. So on the chart itself, Autumn Quakers, this one shows me inside the chart, shows me that the design size is 170 by 270 stitches. And by looking at the picture on the front, I know that the 270 is the height and the 170 is the width, just by looking at the picture. Sometimes designers will tell you that it's 170 wide by 270 high. This one does not, but I can tell by looking at the picture on the front that it is taller than it is wide. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my graft size here. So it's 170 stitches wide by 270 high. And then I go down here to fabric count. Now the called for fabric on this is a 28 count. That's what I ended up using. But so I can put in 28 count. Now, if you don't like 28 count, or you don't like stitching on even weave or linen, or the reverse, you want a really high count, you can change whatever number you want to stitch it on in here. It doesn't have to be the called for. It can be something in your stash, and you just want to see, is this piece of fabric big enough for this chart I want to stitch? And so let's say, actually, I want, let's do a 28 count. The next question is number of threads each X covers. 28 count, I usually do 2/2. And that will tell you here, Aida is 1, linen is usually 2. Again, this depends on, do you want to stitch it on 28 count over 1 and have it teeny tiny? I don't prefer that. As you all know by now, I'm very comfortable at 28/2 or 32/2. You know, if you're Jan Hicks, you might do 56 count over 1. So it just depends on what you want. But this question is asking you, are you doing this over 2 or over 1? And they give you a little hint here. If you're using Aida, it's usually 1. Linen is usually 2. Now here is where it might get a little not tricky, but just kind of scratching my head a little bit. So this says extra fabric on each side for the border plus extra fabric on each side for finishing. So they're asking basically how much border do you want? And what I usually do is I will change the first one to 3 and I'll change the second one to 0. Because I usually like 3 inches if I can. If not, then I can get away with a couple of inches as well. It just kind of depends on what I'm trying to accomplish. So I just see both of these questions as how much border do you want? So I always put 0 in one of them and just put I like 3-inch border. If you are somebody who maybe likes to risk it, you might want to put in 1-inch borders. But for now, I'm going to put in a 3-inch border, and I just change the other one to 0 because I don't need to worry about that because the 3-inch number includes enough room for border and finishing combined. This just separates it out. And then you just hit calculate size. And then when we read calculate size, we will see the stitched area will be 12 1/8 inches wide by 19 1/4 inches high, which means with a 3-inch border, your fabric should be 18 wide by 25 1/2 inches high. All right, so you want to make sure that you pay attention to this second number for your fabric height because that will include the border. They give you a suggestion for using a size 26 needle, and they even suggest how many strands of floss to use for stitching and back stitching. So I will link this down below, but I hope that helped you and gave you a little bit, or helped you understand kind of how we fill out this form. I use this all the time, and if you changed anything up here, it will automatically clear the form down below. So if you said, I don't want 28 count, maybe I want 14 count Aida. So I'm going to change that to 14. I'm going to change this to 1. Now it should be the same size, right? Because 14 count Aida and 28 count linen or even weave is the same size. And you'll see here, once we hit calculate, we're doing 14 threads per inch over 1. It's the same size, 18 inches wide by 25 1/2 high. If we wanted to change it and we said, what about if we did 16 count Aida? All right, so now we're at 16 1/2 inches wide by 23 inches high, so it's a little bit smaller. So you can play around with it, fit in whatever is in your stash, and just hit calculate. And this way you don't really have to do a lot of math, which I'm a fan of not doing much math. All right, I hope this helped. Talk to you soon. Bye. All right. I hope that was helpful, Jennifer, and for anybody else who had questions about that. Like I said, I will link the Yarn Tree calendar down below, or calculator down below, and I will also link Blue Ribbon Designs Etsy shop down below if you're interested in getting this. The other thing is if you are thinking, I don't have the budget to spend on buying this device, that's okay, because you know what? Post-it note, this size post-it note is 3 by 3. So you can use this. It works exactly the same way. You put it up here in the corner. And where my pinky is, oops, it's hard to do backwards. Where my pinky is right here where it's tapping the page, that's where you put your needle. It's the same exact, size. You can see I put my stitch starter on there. It's the same size. So if you don't want to spend money on this, you can also use a Post-it, which you probably have in a junk drawer somewhere sitting around your house. So that's another tip. All right, but do let me know if you have any other questions. All right, so those are the questions. Let me get back to my notes here. Okay. Okay, and then the other thing is that I wanted to thank you. You all had such great advice for last week. I told you that I signed up for Crazy Annie's stocking ornament of the month club, and we're going to get 12 ornaments that are little stockings, and it's the 12 days of Christmas. And I opted to get the 27 count Linda black fabric, and I was asking, do you stitch us over 1 over 1 or 2 over 2? And basically the consensus was, do what you want. Make sure that what you want, depends on what sizes. Kay said, do a practice swatch and see what you like, which I thought was a really good advice. Knowing me, I will probably do 2/2. It will fit on the fabric. I did check after reading your comments. 2/2 will fit on the fabric. So we get like a little fabric square with it. So I'll probably do 2/2 because that's what I like. All right, but thank you so much, everyone who had such great advice for that. All right, should we get into whips and new starts and all of that? So I did have a new start last night, yesterday, and this was for two things. One, it was for I am participating in the Stitch the Winter Olympics, and this is by the Naptime Stitcher. It's on Instagram. I forgot to post a picture last night when I was done stitching. But Stitch the Winter Olympics, she gives you a prompt for each day of the Olympics, so it's about 2 weeks during the month, and then you just make whatever project fit. You set your own goal on that project. So the prompt for yesterday was opening ceremony, and the prompt was new start or something you started in 2022. So I have started a couple things so far in 2022, but I opted for a new start because I am doing this with Jan of Jan Hicks Creates, and we are doing a sal. We're calling it both hashtag Foxy Friends Friday Sal, and we are calling it hashtag the F word Sal because we can't remember the Foxy Friends Friday Sal is a lot. So a lot of you, I know, have seen this. I think a lot of you are stitching it or have already stitched it. This is by Cottage Garden Samplings. I am signed up for their through Acorns and Threads, where I'll get it each month. So the fox has come out, the swans have come out, and I think the jackrabbit has come out. So I did start this last night. I'm using almost all the called for. That was the other thing. A lot of you gave me advice on. I had asked last week too. I said, you know, the white in here, in all of these, it calls for chalk by Gas, the Gentle Arts sampler threads. And I was like, does it really have to be chalk? Because this chart alone, so I'm doing this on 32 count. For just this one chart, it would take 2 skeins on 32 count of chalk. And there's 12 of these charts. And, you know, not all of them will necessarily require 2. Some might require more, some might require less. But I'm like, that's a lot of money for a white. So I actually, the DMC conversion on this is 38.65, which is what I'm using. And then the other Gast is burnt orange, which is in the fox and this little A-frame. And then the rest called for are just DMC. So the only change I'm making is instead of chalk, I am using DMC 3865. And here is my start. This is a massive piece. I still haven't cut this piece of fabric down yet. Here's my start. So I got the little snowflake. I got these 2 trees done, and I started on this A-frame. And I did this while watching the opening ceremonies. So this was really nice. I am doing this on 32 count Vintage Country Mocha, which I know is a very common fabric. Look, it matches my shirt. Very common fabric. I have never stitched on this, though, believe it or not. So branching out, right? Branching out from my vanilla latte. So I think it will look really pretty on there. This is what she recommends if you're doing them all on one piece. Now, here's the controversy, folks. So the way these charts work, or this series, I should say, is that if you're doing them all on one piece, she has it designed so that the winter months all flow together. So let me show you what I mean. So here's the second chart, right? The swans. And you could see, if you look at the background with the trees and the snowflakes, you could see it's very similar, right? So to our fox. So the idea is if you stitch them all on one piece of fabric, they'll kind of flow in together, right? So, but the March one looks different. It doesn't necessarily flow with the snowflakes. That's because the fox is pattern 1, swans is pattern 2. If you're doing them on one piece of fabric, pattern 12, which we'll get in December, should really go in the first position on your piece of fabric. So you would do number 12 here, number 1 here, and number 2 here, and they all flow together with the trees. I am not doing it that way, which is maybe somewhat controversial because I don't. I have a feeling if it's similar at all to last year's, and maybe it won't be, and maybe I'll regret this decision. I don't know, but trust the designer, right? But in my brain, this is January, and then we move into February, and then we're kind of moving into spring. And so the way my brain understands the year is that, the first quarter of the month, or the first quarter of the year is kind of winter into early spring. And even though the backgrounds won't necessarily flow exactly together, I think I'll be happier with it in case it's like, what if it's a really Christmassy one at the start of the year? That doesn't make sense in my brain. Now, I'm basing that on last year's series, which is not necessarily, I don't know, I haven't stitched any last year, but I have them. Where, again, it says to do number 12 in the first position if you're doing them all in the same fabric. I don't want this as the first position. To me, this is the last position, right? So, I don't know if that made sense. I am doing chart 1 in the first position. I am not saving space to do chart 12 in the first position. Jan, if you want, maybe Jan explains it a little clearer because she is saving a space for chart 12 to go here. So you can take a look at hers as well. But here's my start. I'm really happy with the start. To me, this looks like a variegated floss. It's not. It's DMC. It's not variegated at all. But I don't know, just that. It's like a really minty green, and it looks like a frosted tree. It's so pretty. So that's a very long explanation of the fox. And this is going to come out again. I keep this in my tote from Kay because it's big enough. I fit both of the A Year in the Woods and A Time for All Seasons. Both of those are in here. I'm not starting A Time for All Seasons until March, I think, when Jan and I are starting project number 9 of that, Gathering Acorns. So I am going to take some thread and place out all the, to get me to number 9, if that makes sense. So I'm going to put some thread in there to kind of block out numbers 1 through 8, and then so I know where to start at 9. It's a little risky for someone like me who messes up the counting a lot. But we'll worry about that in March. Okay, so that was my new start. And then I worked on Hoity Toity, which we haven't seen in a while. This is by Long Dog Samplers. This is my whip go for January. This is what it looks like, or will look like. And I'm using the Jan Hicks conversion, which is more pinks and blues than oranges. And I'm stitching this on 32 count Silvery Moon. And I love this fabric, and I love the colors. So here is what it's looking like now. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Okay, so let's talk about what we did. So what I worked on in January, you see this very end of the tail of that bird. Everything over here I worked on in the border. And then I did this motif, and I started on this motif. There's a few things more to fill in there. So that was about 12 hours of work for my whip go. Cat hair. And this, we're not quite to the edge, but we're close to the edge of, this is page 3. There's still a lot. So page 2, there's a big house down here, which I haven't done. And then there's, of course, motifs over here. There's a big corner thing. And then also on page 3, you see how this border goes down. So it's going to turn here pretty soon, and the border is going to go down. So there's a lot of stitching. I mean, this border, there's just a lot. It's so beautiful. But this is going to obviously come out again. This is on my whip go board 4 times. And then I think it's in, no, not March. some upcoming month for Focus on a Designer. It's Long Dog is one of the options. I think it's Ink Circles or Long Dog. And so I'm going to pull out this. So I'm going to work on this on Sundays in a month coming up soon. It's not March. It might be April. It's coming up soon. When my parents are here for Christmas, I let my dad decide, or I asked my parents. I said, okay, I have 2 Long Dogs right now. One is Death by Cross Stitch. One is Hoity Toity. He didn't like the name Death by Cross Stitch. I think it startled him a bit. So he said, do Hoity Toity. So I will be working. This will get an extra work on it besides Whipco. Besides Whipco, it will get extra stitching on when I do the Focus on a Designer. But this is where I'm at. We can just sit here and look at it. It's so pretty. It's just so pretty. My background color is DMC 939, which, because of this piece and my Death by Cross Stitch, which I'm using the same colorways for, has become my favorite DMC color. It's like this really deep, dark blue, almost purple. It's so pretty. So I did get my both of my Whipco pieces done for the month of January. So I got to mark those 2 blocks off, which I'm thrilled about. All right, next up, I worked on Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow. I only worked on this one day since you saw it last. This is by Carriage House Samplings, and I am here on block number 3 that has so much stitching in it. My goal is to finish block 3 this month in February. But I had an extra day at the very end of January, so I pulled it out so that I could get a little more progress. And I'm stitching this on 32 Count Vanilla Latte by Bestitch Me. And what I got done since last time you saw it, I got these 3 horses. So last time when we just had the 1 horse, the other 3 horses are done, and I started making a little more progress on this grass. I'm hoping now that I have the horses done, the grass will go a little bit faster. Because then I have this big house to do and all this. But this will be coming out quite a bit. Well, I want to finish the block this month, but I have it on my Stitch the Winter Olympics several times. So I was able to kind of double dip my goals, if you will. So that is Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow. And then the other piece that I worked on is Autumn Quakers, which I just pulled out to show you. This is by Rosewood Manor. And I am over here. I'm almost done with, I'm over here on page 3. Page 3 is not a full page. And I'm stitching this on the called for 28 count doubloon, I think it is, by Pictures Plus, yes. And this came out because my goal on this is 12 hours a month because I want to finish it this year. So I got 9 hours in at the beginning of February. So the first 3 days of February, I worked on this. So here's where we're at. You see a hole right here. That's where the year goes. I'm going to leave that to the end just in case something happened. Not that I couldn't, it's easy enough to take out a back-stitched year, but I'm just going to leave it blank for now, but hopefully 2022 will go in there. So what I worked on at the beginning of the month, I'm using the called for Valdani threads. They are so lovely to work with. The variegation is amazing. So what I worked on this time is I did this motif here with the leaf in it, and there's some Algerian islets. I don't know if you can see that in here. I did these flowers in this flower pot. I did this leaf, and then I did a bunch of these little tiny leaves. I did that little leaf. And then this little rainbow bar, which was really fun. And then I started over here on this motif. And so this is the edge this is how wide the piece will be. I still have, you can tell on this motif, I still have a flower to put in here to finish that motif. And that's getting down to the page below, but I will finish up that motif. And so this will come out one more time yet this month. It's on my Stitch the Winter Olympics board to get my 12 hours in because I have 9 hours right now. So I will probably continue working over here to kind of try to fill in this page. But that's where it's at, Autumn Quakers. I was a bit further along when I pulled this out than I thought. I thought I was closer to still almost done with page 1. Is where I thought I was, but I was almost done with page 2. Like I said, just a few little things to finish up on page 2. And then I'm well into page 3 right now. So this one it's beautiful. I love working with the Valdani threads. It is a lot of color changes. The reason why it's so beautiful is because you're changing your colors a lot in each of these motifs. So again, right up here, you can see the start of the motif that I did there. And then on page 3, I'll work on this one and down to this one probably. So that's good progress. I'm really happy I was really happy to find like, oh, I'm a bit further along than I thought I was, since I do want to finish it this year. And I'm hoping that 12 hours a month will get me there, get me close until I can just kind of push for a finish. So that is everything that I worked on this week. And let me show you my WhipGo board because I'm really proud of it. Here's my WhipGo board. So the purple X's are the ones I completed in January. The calls for February were Halloween at Hawkrun Hollow again and Summer Quakers. And I have not started on either of those yet this month. All right, let's move into haul. I always have haul for you guys. I do it for you. Okay, so first up, my World of Cross Stitching magazine came in. They stopped putting the months on, which I'm not thrilled about. I believe this is the February issue. It's issue 315. And I'll try to do a flip through. Maybe I'll film that tomorrow. I'll do a flip through of this. You can see I have a couple of things already marked, which I'll show you those things in case you don't care about the flip through. One is Fabi's Masterclass. Fabi Riley, I really like her stuff. And in these, she always has kind of a little small piece where you're practicing a different stitch or a different technique. This one is how to do a queen stitch, but the piece is Happy New Year, which I don't feel like there's a lot of New Year pieces. I started the Victoria Samplers Happy New Year. And so I marked this because I think that's really cute, and I think that would be really fun to put out for the week between Christmas and New Year's, and then keep it up, for a week or two after New Year's. But I just think it's really cute. It would look really cute kind of on my bar cart. So I have that marked. And then the other one, oh my gosh, I love this one so much. This is called Miniature Marvels. It's designed by Jenny Vandewiel, and I don't know if it's like the folk artsy style or like when I first started filming, I mentioned that my favorite type of pieces are those with like lots of little pictures in them, and you have to look closely at it, and you kind of see something new every time you look at it. And I think this piece fits that. And even though it has this kind of Christmassy border, it could be kept up all winter. And I think this would look so perfect in the guest room. Just like a little warm welcome piece in the guest room. I went bananas over this piece. I just really love it. But I'll do a full flip through. I'll maybe film that tomorrow for you guys. It's been a while since I've done a flip through. All right, the next thing I got my Fine Floss MPI flosses of the month from January from Fat Quarter Shop. And a lot of you know by now my favorite color is blue, and these are just stunning. Like, I gasped when I opened it because I don't know what the color of the month is going to be, but these are just gorgeous. I might have to stitch something in just these. I'm planning on getting, Jan did a, what did she call it? Where she did 4 seasons, and she used the MPI silk packs. And so I'm going to get those. I haven't purchased them yet, but I'm going to get those and stitch them. Okay, the other thing I got is I'm in the Rogue Stitching Fabric of the Month Club. And so I got my pieces. This one, it says it's from 2021, so I wonder if there was a backlog on one of the pieces. I can't keep track. I get the 32 count fat quarter, I think, 18 by 27. Is that a fat, or is that a fat half? That might be a fat. I don't, please help me. I don't know. Because a yard is 36 inches, so 18 is half of that. So wouldn't it be half? I don't know, help me. Anyway, this is called Egyptian Sand by Mountain Air Fabrics. And it's, yeah, that's pretty true to color. So you can see that will be really pretty. I mean, again, the whole reason why I'm in this club is so that it can move me kind of out of my comfort zone. Some of them are neutrals, but some of them have a little modeling, which I know for some of you this is very neutral. For me, it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What am I going to put on with the modeling? But so, you know, everyone's in a different place in their comfort level. So I got that. I think that says 2021 on it. So, but then I also got the January one. This is by Sunflower Printed Fabrics. It is called Winter Creek. And holy bananas, is this not the most gorgeous? So it's a printed fabric. So okay, sorry, I got a weird message on my computer. All right, I don't know. Can you see that variegation? It's like so pretty. So, and it's printed, so that means it's completely white on one side. It's kind of blowing out a bit. And it's like this, it is very light, but it's almost like blue and sand color. It's really pretty. You can kind of see it there. It's really, really pretty. So again, this is by Mountain Air Fabrics. No, this is by Sunflower Printed Fabrics, and it's called Winter Creek. So that came in the mail. I ordered a couple of things. I think, Candy, I think you're to blame for this. So, thank you. This is by Stony Creek Collection. I just got this from 123 Stitch. Candy is working on it, and it's one of those that I've been eyeing, and then someone reminds you that it exists, and it's like, yeah, I'm just going to get it. It's called Christmas Sentiments by Stony Creek, and I just think it's so pretty. And even though this is a really good picture, go check out 614 Stitcher. I'll link her down below. It's to see her working on this. It's so pretty. So I got that to add to my stash because I need more stash. And then this one, of course, we're going to blame Jan. If Jan Hicks Creates. I think a lot of you have this. It's Winter Rose Manor by Brenda Gervais. So pretty. Look at that house. But it's just so pretty, and like, it's just calming and comforting. And it also comes with a pincushion. But I'm planning to at least start with this one. I think Jan and I, this is by, Designs by Brenda Gervais. Jan and I are starting this, I think, in July. So if you want to start this with us, you are very welcome to. We would love to have you. Okay. Now I'm going to show you what we got from the Acorns Gathering Retreat. So our designer, which we didn't know about until the day of, so we got a packet in the mail. Our designer was Cindy Young from Loohoo Stitches, and I love her stuff. And so she designed this, and it's called All About the Acorn. And it's this really cute fall piece. This is a flying squirrel who's, the acorns are falling from the trees, and he's grabbing onto this acorn. So very, very sweet. And Cindy was there, and so we got to talk with her, kind of talk about her inspiration for the piece, and just learn a little more about her. And they included all the needed floss, which is several weeks dye works and a couple of classic color works. So look at those colors, very fall, right? Oh, those are gorgeous fall colors. And then a few DMC as well to kind of round it all out. Not sure if I'm showing this well, like that. Okay, and then we got it came with a needle. And then we got a piece of fabric, and I didn't check what size. This is a 32 count. I'm not sure what the color is, but it's to stitch the piece on. And it was so fun because some people jumped in right away. I clearly haven't started it yet, but some people jumped in right away and were stitching on it at the retreat. Somebody got the whole squirrel done. So it's just really fun to see people do that. And then they showed that how you can finish it with this felt kit here. So that was super fun. And then we also got, let me see if we got, I have to pull it out, a needle minder that says Acorn Gathering 2022. And I'm in my little stitchy tool bag right now. We got it's either a scissor fob or a zipper pull, and I have it attached to my scissors. So that was nice. And then what else? There's a bag of M&Ms, which are long gone, my friends, long gone. Yeah, so it was really fun. So that is what we got from the retreat. Now, the other thing I got in the mail. This is, I mentioned it, I think, briefly last week, but Jan did a really good job in a recent video of hers all about her new starts. Jan and I are starting Donna Bayless, who is from By the Bay Needle Arts. She did Harbor Haven, which you saw me stitch on. Jan stitched on Harbor Haven. Jan is working on a couple other pieces as well of hers. But we saw in Donna's newsletter that she sends out, we saw she has this series called Funky Flowers. And we are starting that. Jan and I are starting that May 1. So we would love it if you would join us. And there's a lot of different ways to join us for this. And I'm really excited to show you. So this is a bit insane, but I got all the funky flowers. Well, not all of these are. A couple are. I'll show you those in a minute. But so I think there's 24 funky flowers. So I got them all. When you purchase 3 or more, Donna will email you a PDF that will show you kind of how to do the layouts, okay, if you want to. Now, the nice thing about this is you can do one of these, right? You can do 2 or 3 of these if you want. I'll show you really, really quickly what they look like. I'll just kind of go through these. The thing to keep in mind, so you can get an idea of the layout down here, and she also has it on her website. I will link her website down below. She shows it on either a black fabric, which really, really makes it stand out, or a white fabric, which makes it really, really pretty as well. So you can do it on whatever fabric you want. Look at that. That's so pretty. The thing to keep in mind when you're purchasing these, if you're purchasing just a few of them, pay attention that some of them go up and down and some of them go across. So you'll just want to pay attention to which ones you're getting. If you want to stitch them all in one piece, you want to make sure that you know kind of, okay, do I want them all going up and down? Do I want a mix of some of them? Because if you get them all, so here, this one comes with 2, and you can see these go horizontal. So you could do a horizontal with a tall one, right? And that might be cute if you just want a few of them. But of course, Jan and I are doing all of them because we're crazy. Yeah, some of these have 2 in them. Oh, look at the colors. So pretty. Okay, so those are all the funky flowers. And she has been releasing these over time. I mean, some of these are 2010, 2011. That's where a lot of these are. 2011, 2012, and so forth. So you can go to Donna's Etsy shop, which I said I'll link below, and you can get whatever you want. She also sells them in PDFs. I prefer the hard copy charts, but she does sell them in PDFs. So if you are international or you just prefer a PDF, you can get them that way as well, which is super fun. So you can join us no matter what. Jan has already picked out a fabric, and I think she has some of the floss. I have not. I just got these this week, so I don't even know what fabric I'm going to use. I don't know. A lot of these are DMC, I think. Some have some specialty flosses or over-dyed flosses, but some are DMC. So you can do whatever you want. I'm going to mostly try to just use what's in my stash. Like I have a lot of Victorian motto sampler threads, for example, which might be really good for some of these. So I'm gonna try. That'll be my exercise. I'm very much a by the book person, so whatever's called for is what I'll use. But I think for this is a really good way to kind of touch on some of my over dyes that maybe aren't called for in other patterns, like the Victorian motto sampler threads, like the color and cotton. So please join us. Like I said, you don't have to get all 24 of them to join us. You can do any subset of it. She'll send you, if you get at least 3, she will send you the pattern for some layouts. And in addition, she did a lovely shout out in her newsletter for Jan and I. So that was really lovely. And we would love for you to join us on Funky Flowers. She also threw in My Secret Garden. She just threw that in as a special treat, I guess. And she drew in a Grow Your Faith chart as well. Very pretty. So, thank you so much, Donna. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your designs. And this is going to be a really, really fun stitch. So, you have plenty of time to think about what you want and to order them and order what you want. And we would love to have you join us. We are starting at May 1 for May Day. Okay. So I think that's everything from Funky Flowers. Gotta watch my language. All right, on to plans. I'm going to continue working on Stitch the Olympics. So what that looks like, I won't go through every piece now. But the fox will come out again. We're going to pull out glitter houses for something that's part of a series. You'll see I'm going to start on the basket, which I showed last week, which is the focus on a designer this month through 614 Stitches and Sunshine Stitchers. The designer this month is Hands on Design. And back at the Acorns gathering in October, we got a special from Hands on Designs. We got a special pattern called the basket. So I'm going to start on that piece. So you'll see that come out. My one of my Hades will come out. Cardinal Cottage. That will come out, and we'll see Christmas Dinner a couple of times. And Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow will come out, it looks like, once as well. I think that's everything and then some that I wanted to share with you. So thank you so much for spending time. I know this is a bit longer one than I normally upload, but thank you so much for sticking with me. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. And I will definitely plan to see you next Saturday. Bye, everyone.